It's important initially to say that the kind of art that we're showing is not maybe instantly available or instantly understandable in the tradition of art that we know about. It's not always about pictures. It's not always about visuality. And the question is, why should you spend time with it then if it doesn't conform to the expectations that you have of visual art? Now, I see art more or less as a field of experimentation. And that's something that's developed since, you could say, '68 and has continued through to our own period. In other words, it's a field of experimentation which is free from the interests which, for instance, scientific research has. If you think about the high-tech campus, there's a lot of commercial interests which control the kind of experimentation which is funded and made possible. If you think about social sciences, there's a responsibility to the people who you're working with, which means that there's a lot of control over the experimentation which might be possible. But art is, if autonomy means anything, then art has to be this place which has an autonomy from those interests in order to experiment with the world and with images of the world. And I think this is a different definition from what most people would understand as art, being something which is made by hand and which is produced as an image to be hung, or perhaps to be stood in the wall, to be hung on the wall, or perhaps stood on the ground. Now, I think once we see this space as a sort of experimental zone, then the mediation for that needs to be much more personal and much more individually tailored. So therefore what we've tried to do is to concentrate in the first instance on discussions that people can have with the Cicerone and with the Castelrigasfran in the museum. Secondly, we've tried to provide different layers of information. So from a very short text on the red cards to the library, or to much further information which is in our books and catalogue. And also we've tried to provide a way in which people can feed back, at least at the simplest level, through the tagging system, which allows them to leave one or two words behind about what they think about it, about the work, and that then can inform other people's thoughts about the work. So there can be a kind of feedback system in which visitors create their own mediation for other visitors. And I think that's something that we want to strengthen more and more, so that mediation is created collectively rather than only created by the museum and sent down to the visitors, that actually the visitors also can send it back up to the museum. And I think that's something that we need to work on, and that should, if we get it right, ultimately affect the programming and the things that we do, because we should understand the people that come to the museum much more by the marks and the comments and the impressions that they leave behind.